will be interesting session. Give me a minute to share my slides. Apologies, just one more minute.
Sorry, you were on mute. Did you say something?
Are you able to see my slides right now?
Sorry, we cannot hear you, even though you're unmuted for some reason.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, so can you see my slides right now?
Yes, we can.
Sorry. Thank you so much, and thanks for the introduction. I'm here to help you to know more about the application and the usage of machine learning for sustainability, which is the topic or what we are talking about in the big event for climate change. And here I will start by talking about the use cases and opportunities and challenges that would be benefit you and help you even when you participate further with the competition to make use of those use cases and challenges and be able to innovate around them. Machine learning, of course, progressed in the last few years in a big way. We're being introduced and infused in almost every application and every solution that we are using now in life. And the machine learning made us to rethink about the art of possible and the ability to make an impact and make changes to many aspects of our life. So we are here in Amazon since we started. We are adopting and using machine learning. We use it to build a lot of our capabilities and services. In addition to our commitment to sustainability, we are making use of machine learning to help us to accelerate and be able to achieve that commitment. So as you might already hear from a lot of our audience for the previous sessions about the challenges and what we are looking to solve. So from machine learning and climate change challenges and opportunities perspective, there are different ways and different tools that we can use to help us to have a more sustainable future, to help us to reduce the carbon footprint. Electricity, of course, and the ability to reduce consumption and be more efficient in power usage and be more smart in the consumption of electricity is very important. It's not just for the traditional things like controlling the air conditioners and heaters, but also it could be for many other aspects that allow us to make use of whatever equipments and data that we have. Even we can use it to understand the challenges that we could have with our electricity grid and be able to be more effective and avoid the failure that cost a lot of money or do a waste for produced electricity, which is very crucial to the growth in that area. Another area of an interest or of importance for climate change and sustainability is transportation, where transportation, of course, uses most of it doesn't use the electricity and use the fossil oil, which is doing a lot of impact on the carbon footprint. So the ability to make use of AI and machine learning in order to make effective transportation, reduce or optimize the time taken between different points, ability to make vehicles and make our transportation system more effective is really important to get things done effectively. Another area which is the buildings and cities. So cities of the future is built on AI, ML, and IoT and digital twins, which help us to be aware about what we have, be able to control all aspects in the city, from power, electricity, water, consumption, usage, population, and human resources, and be able to provide services in effective way, reduce the travel time for citizens between different points, and getting services delivered in a fast way, going to paperless, and avoiding printing a lot of papers and documents, which is a waste of resources and even waste of time as well, and cause a lot of impact on our environment. So it's really important to rethink about the cities of the futures and how our buildings could be smart and efficient from power consumption and power usage itself. Industries is not, of course, is a core area of for this, because industries, they do a lot of consumption for fossil oil or fuel, and industries started globally to adopt many techniques, from using robotics to do automations, to being or producing more effective manufacturing, and produce things in effective way, and doing ability to have the predictive maintenance to avoid big failure and big delays that could cause a lot of issues, to using technology and AI machine learning for effective supply chain and making use of resources in an effective way, because effective usage of resources will be very, very crucial and very important to get things done. Of course, it's not only about AI/ML. There are other ways to advance in this, like material engineering and innovation about manufacturing itself. But AI/ML is one of the catalysts to help in making our climate better and reduce the carbon footprint. Another area which is farms and forest and agriculture, and agriculture is really benefiting big time from AI/ML. We have seen use cases where we, with countries or with farms with limited water access capability, they are able to use technology like drones and computer vision to analyze the crops and understand when water is needed. Also could be used to analyze this from the land itself, and get that information intelligently with effective sensors to provide the data that allow us to make use of water effectively. Also to identify potential diseases and insects that are harmful for the crops, and be able to effectively fight them and be more productive in whatever we are producing. So those a lot of capabilities that AI/ML, whether from talking about things like detecting anomalies, or analyzing images and videos, or analyzing data generated from sensors, is really important to help in have more effective agriculture in Middle East and Africa, and all over the world. Of course, AI, responsible AI is very important. Ethics in AI is very important. AI itself consumes power and energy, and we are in AWS committed with our data centers to the climate pledge, and be able to provide efficient and data centers that are powered with renewable energy, which will help our customers to make use of AI/ML without impacting the global economy. And those capabilities are very important to think about it when using AI, about how the impact that you will do to the world when using a specific AI platform, because it's very important to be responsible for this, as well as a builder and consumer and a provider for AI services. Of course, this is related to finance and economy, and the ability to make use or translate this to effective decision making and designing carbon markets, and be able to have effective economy around this. It's really crucial. And again, AI machine learning plays a big role in that area. So again, there are multiple use cases. So those use cases will be available for you and for the audience whenever needed. You can make use of those use cases in your competition and in the hackathon, and be able to see the potential use cases that fit the teams that will be joining and building and innovating around this. So again, things related to predictive maintenance or efficient usage of electricity and power, or improving or making use of clean energy, or for example, detecting emissions, like when emissions are increasing from specific manufacturing plants, or from if a specific maybe moving vehicles, or maybe boats. That could be one of the use cases that you could explore, but those could be used by AI and ML. For example, you can use computer vision to detect that problem using a drone or using a camera from far away, and based on this, take an action and do the thing that needed. So many capabilities in that area can be using things like computer vision, things like communication with understanding learning and natural language processing. Also, you can use things related to reinforcement learning to improve maybe some robotics or some machinery that react in real time and take decisions based on inputs that being taken. So there are many ML capabilities that you can benefit from for those use cases related to electricity. So if we go to transportation, we have seen autonomous driving and electrical car being famous right now. And with autonomous vehicles, it uses behind the scenes of reinforcement learning, and computer vision, of course, which help in identifying and helping the vehicle to move across the roads and move between lanes and be able to travel in an efficient way. We have seen growth in use cases regarding using it not just for the normal vehicles, but also for trucks, for bikes, and for boats, and for many other use cases. So, and buses, of course, it's another use case. So this could be something that would be interesting. Even in AWS, we have produced a prototype for test and development vehicle. We call it Deep Racer. It's a very small one, but it could help you as a learner and as a student to use it to learn about autonomous driving and reinforcement learning in a very easy and effective way. Then start your journey in that area. But of course, in transportation, too many things can be done. Again, like optimizing the routes could be something that you be interested in. Sharing mobility between people. This will reduce the number of cars in the streets. At the end, it will help in reducing carbon footprint. Ability to analyze the data, demand and supply in real time, and take real actions like increasing tariff on the roads, or changing direction from the busy roads to the non-busy roads, and so on. So those things, AI and ML can do it in real time and can help in being more effective in transportation, whether it's for the consumer or for the government. So really helpful, that could help us with many transportation challenges in Middle and Eastern Africa. Buildings and cities, again, there are a different set of use cases. So data is very important for smart cities to be more effective. Getting data and listening to all sensory data that we get it from sensors across the city, whether it's for the light streets or for irrigation systems, for the landscaping, or from measuring the heat, or getting measures about maybe a sandstorm that's coming, or doing the weather forecasting even for a smart city and predicting things before it happens. It's really important because this helps those cities to take more effective decisions and be smart enough to be able to be not just efficient in services, but also help in having a better climate, and help in reducing the carbon footprint and building sustainable future for citizens of those cities. So those are big use cases and big trends, and it's not just government that are responsible to do this, but it's a social responsibility, and companies, organizations, and startups a lot are innovating about this, which help in improving the overall society that we are living in. Industrial, again, it's a big area because industries differ, depends on the product and services that they are offering. So based on the different products and services, you can have a different kind of use cases that could fit. Like if we're talking about food industry, maybe food waste and being effective in production, it could be a big use case because this help a lot. But also in other industries, for example, if we are talking about steel, so could be the ability to be more effective in producing steel is very important, because at the end, if we protect the raw materials that are coming and going to furnace and getting consumed to produce the needed steel products, AIML could help in being more efficient in order to not waste energy and power for this. But again, the use cases are a lot. It's different from one industry to another, but you can explore or think about what options or what cases that you can do here. And again, all the capabilities of AIML, whether it's computer vision for cameras that are fixed within the manufacturer planets that do detection for smokes or detection of progress of production and so on, could help, or could be sensors that could measure vibration, for example, or measure pressure or temperature, could help as well. Or it could be things that are a little bit more advanced with robotics and robots that help in uplifting and moving materials around. So there are many use cases that you can try to think about it, and all of those use cases are crucial and important. Health and safety also could be a good one as well to consider, in order to improve in general the capabilities within industries and manufacturers whenever needed. Again, farms and forests, this is very important in many of Middle East and Africa countries. Some of them, they have enough green land and enough water, but other countries, they are suffering from the reduction of the green land and the ability to produce more crops. So being effective in what we have and producing more from what you have is really important. AIML and smart detection and helping farmers to take proper decision and right decision faster could help a lot in improving production, and help a lot in having a better future for those countries. So it's really, really very important and very crucial. So those are the set of use cases that I chose to talk about it before diving into technology and what technology that we have that could help you to achieve those use cases. For example, if you pick a use case for manufacturing and you want to use the cameras and be able to use those cameras to the IP cameras or CCTV cameras within the manufacturer planet to detect issues that could be causing health issues or causing an issue in production that will lead to a bigger issue of consumption of power and energy, which will lead to a bigger issue in collateral for the climate change. So how to do this, or how to make use of technology to address those use cases for AI and machine learning, I will discuss it in the next steps. Sorry, I don't see questions, but if any questions are needed, please let me know. There's one question from Ahmed Samir asking if we can make it in Arabic. I believe this event is addressing Middle East and Africa, so the common language will be English. But whenever needed, I am happy to have a separate discussion with any of you who need any support on any topic that I didn't explain well. Okay, this is maybe from the panelist will maybe tell us about the recording if needed to, or how it can be shared. Okay, so let me move to the next slide. Before jumping into using AI ML, of course, directly, one more point is data is at the core of what we do. Of course, we cannot do all of this. We cannot innovate about all of those use cases. If we don't have data and we don't have access to data. So data is really important to achieve this. One of the tools that you can use during the competition is ability to get access to public data and data sources that help you to achieve this. Why? Because this will help you to access different sources. Those different sources will help you to rethink about the ideas that you are exploring and be able to identify the use cases and the potential that you are doing. Also, this will give you the skill because data is increasing and the data diversity from structured to unstructured. Maybe in a use case, you'd like to use some weather data plus using other data regarding maps plus using other data about events. So those could be diverse data sets that you can make use of, and those diverse data sets can help you to achieve the results that you are looking for. And understanding this in AWS, we are committed, of course, to sustainability, and we have Amazon Sustainability Data Initiative and also our Open Data Program, which allow a lot of the startups and researchers and governments to be able to access to a large and wide set of data from different use cases to help in addressing the sustainability challenge. And some of those data, of course, are built by leading organizations. Could be researchers, could be leading institutions that committed like us in providing this data and helping innovating around the data. And this, of course, will be translated to reducing cost, time, and technical barriers because you have access to the data instead of rebuilding the data, exploring or buying or acquiring the data, which costs money and time. And of course, if it's not following specific standards, it will be not easy as well because access to data means also to have the right format and the right structure to be able to consume it, not just the security or the accessibility itself. So based on this, AWS and other partners for AWS, we had a lot of data now in our open data program, and many of you can go and access those data. Those data include data about climate data projections that you can use, or weather forecasts, historical weather records, satellite imagery. So satellite imagery with OpenStreetMaps and other options are available that you can make use of and build more effective use cases. Could be for route optimization or could be for prediction of issues in certain places. For water and energy as well, there are data available there, ocean forecasts, sea surface, and environmental indicator. It's a very, very large data set that you can make use of to build your machine learning models for the different use cases about sustainability and climate change and help you to get things done faster and don't wait for data to come. Of course, this doesn't prevent you from building your use case on some sensors data that you gather and using that sensor data, you build some models. But most of the time when you build models, you need large size of data to train the models if it's supervised learning or even in reinforcement learning. So in this case, open data will help. Other data sources other than AWS, you can find it online, like Kaggle. You will find a lot of sample data sets that you can make use of and build that models for that specific use case about a specific maybe a sensory or specific recordings or detection that you are looking for example, detection of smoke or detection of a specific type of vehicles and equipments. So we finished the data part, we finished the use cases part. Then the second or the last part that I will be covering is the how to do this, how to get this done, how to use AI and ML in practical to do this, which is using our ML stack. And again, I know you maybe would like to build these use cases for maybe future usability in different platforms on premise or in cloud. So the concept are the same, whether it's running on AWS or if later on we'd like to get this done on-prem, because it's at the end we follow the standards and the best practice, and it is a good opportunity for you in that hackathon to use this to learn and equip yourself and skills to get things done. So from machine learning and AI perspective, AWS deliver three layers of capabilities. The bottom layer here, we call it the do-it-yourself, which called ML frameworks and infrastructure. Talk about it later. Then the middle layer is middle machine learning services, which is based on SageMaker, and the top layer for developers, which is already made API-based AI services that you can use and consume from for the common use cases that you would like to use. Let me check first for if there are any questions. Okay, I don't see there's questions. So let's focus on the layer on the bottom. In AI machine learning, things are a little bit more advanced. And to be effective in delivering AI machine learning, you need to have a variety of options of to choose between different kinds of compute resources that you need. Again, this is the bottom layer, if I go back here, which is the machine learning frameworks and infrastructure, which is most of the time used by researchers or people who would like to build models from scratch and do things from scratch by their hand. Where we in AWS, or in Amazon, we have three different teams working on improving this layer. We have PyTorch team, TensorFlow team, and MXNet team, and we make sure those teams provide optimized compute images, containers, and capabilities for those three different frameworks, which will help our customers and as researchers and scientists to be able to use those capabilities to provide or develop or to train the models, machine learning models, whenever needed. So this is the layer. So in case of, for example, of tabular data or use cases like regression or forecasting based on structured data, you can use the common resources that are here in orange. In case of things that need NLP, understanding of language and processing of language, or analyzing videos and images in real time, or doing reinforcement learning. So maybe most likely we'd like to use deep learning compute capabilities, like for example, B4D instances, which is based on NVIDIA V100, or DL1, which is based on Habana Gaudi, and those are very advanced capabilities for those use cases when that customers can use them whenever needed. So for example, let's take B4D, which is the most popular within the research and customers community. Why? Because there are many of the existing top-notch models that are being used globally. They are built or designed to be more effective with NVIDIA A100. Again, NVIDIA is the provider of GPUs. So NVIDIA A100 provides the GPUs that are very popular for the common use cases for computer vision and NLP. So in AWS, we deliver our own core or own different way of capabilities for this by providing our customers with effective clusters of B4D instances that could be, and customers can run experiments that are very large scale and be able to process a lot of nodes of GPUs in the same time to build some advanced models. For example, for again, autonomous driving, or for maybe analyzing and extracting topics for Arabic language. So it could be some of the use cases. Also, we have another alternative from Intel, another provider of GPUs. It's called DL1 or Habana Gaudi, Habana Labs GPUs, and those deliver a better price performance, about 40% better price performance that customers can make use of to develop machine learning. Again, why there are different options It's our philosophy that to offer our customers the selection, different choices, and customers can choose from whatever they need. Also, we built our own custom chips for inference. We call it Infertia. So customers or startups or entrepreneurs who would like to build a model and would like to use this model maybe to serve millions of citizens or millions of users, they will be able to make use of Infertia, which deliver a lower cost for them and be able to be effectively use ML in production. So this is again, I don't unless you are expert in machine learning, I don't recommend to use it now, which is again, I call it do it yourself. But I would recommend using either the ML services or AI services in your competition. Why this? Because in ML services, it's based on a solution from AWS side. We call it Amazon SageMaker. So Amazon SageMaker, it's our machine learning tool that help our customers and our developers to build the machine learning pipelines from A to Z. Consider it like Visual Studio. So when you have or you want to develop some web application, you open Visual Studio and start to develop, which, for example, maybe you start to develop for backend, connect to database, or even from Visual Studio, even can create the access database and create the models and the entities over there. Then you start to go to the business logic. Then you end up maybe by the front tier. So similarly, SageMaker do the same. It's a studio for machine learning development that help our customers to do all machine learning workflow from one location, from one tool, to as well to be available and used by different scales for different needs and different requirements. So in general, in AI and ML, machine learning work starts by preparation. You need to prepare the data. You need to have the data set. This data could come from open data sets, or would come from data that you label by yourself, or the label that you get it from a database and you need to process. So preparation part, we provide tools within SageMaker that be able to handle this. Once the data is prepared, which is maybe to accelerate during the competition, I recommend you to go and find some open data sets from AWS or from other vendors or sample data sets that you can use. However, you will still need to process the data. It will not be ready to be used by ML, and this will be covered in some machine learning dive deeps or self-learning materials that you can find during the hackathon. The next step is building. So you need to build the notebooks. You need to build the machine learning models that you would like to use. And in AWS, we provide different capabilities to help you to do this, whether to bring your own model or use a built-in model or use some quick or jump start to get things done. Then you need to train and tune the model. Okay, so training, it depends on how complex the model is. This could be a simple model, or it could be a very complex model that requires a lot of resources to run in parallel and take days to finish, or maybe weeks to finish. So it depends on the use case. It can handle it until you deploy it in production. And once you deploy it in production, you need to monitor how the models is behaving and what are the results of the model. So SageMaker, again, it's a complete tool that help us to handle the AI and machine learning from A to Z and be able to provide the capabilities for you guys during that hackathon to be able to innovate and use machine learning to help in or addressing the climate change use cases that you would like to work with. Again, from capabilities perspective, this is democratizing machine learning innovation. It means you don't need a lot of AI/ML skills. You don't need to be machine learning scientist to make use of the tool. You can start use it and learn on the go. There are a lot of sample notebooks, sample use cases that you can use and add your data to it and then modify it whenever needed. You can help you to reduce to accelerate the cycle, so save time and effort and get things done. And of course, help you if you would like to. Maybe this is an idea that will go and become big, and how you be able to scale that idea to be big and be addressing maybe more data or more customers or more use cases. So definitely it can help you with this. And of course, there is a big topic in machine learning, which is machine learning ops, ML ops, which is the ability to have the models evolve on time with new data, new inputs, and new information we get that help us to keep that model alive, learning and educating and getting more data to be improving. We will highlight some key topics in the SageMaker. Will not highlight everything due to the time that we have, and those key topics are good for you to consider, because it will help you to build things that fit or help you during the competition. So SageMaker ground truth, its ability to label data. For example, if you got some data from some specific use case, maybe you went to a farm, okay, or and started to take a picture of certain insects, okay, and those insects are not identifiable by any of public data sets that you can use off. But you want to use this to build a model, and that model we use an API maybe with a mobile application for a farmer who take a scan for that insect and give him information about it and how to fight it and how to see if it's harmful or it's useful, okay, and how the impact of that insect could be impacting his crops. If you would like to do something like this and you don't have those images, you can use SageMaker ground truth, where you can take the images, build a workflow, and assign yourself and your colleagues, maybe even your family, because it's very easy to go over a workflow which help them to say this is insect X or insect Y, and be able to label a data set, and then you have a data set that's labeled that you can use in training the model. Because most likely you need like thousands of images in order to be able to build an effective model. I know there is an ability to have the augmentation part, which is you can produce different options of the same image that you can use. But in general, you need a large data set in order to be able to use it to build that training for that use case and get more effective results. SageMaker ground truth again for labeling data, and can build the workflows to label the data and get data labels that you can use for your use cases. Another option which is fit for tabular data and data that are based on structured data and tables, it's SageMaker Canvas. SageMaker Canvas, we call it no-code machine learning. What I mean by no code, so you don't need to write notebooks and go into coding, because there are many of common use cases like regression, like classification or forecasting that can use models, and those models can look at your data. You go to a workflow. That workflow will help you to be able to choose the right algorithm for the data that you have, and be able to do some feature engineering on the data to make it ready. Then you can automatically in that workflow or that automation steps get a model trained out of this, and you can start to use machine learning even though you didn't write notebooks, you didn't go to dive deep into machine learning. But the use case that you are going to address, going to work with, is very straightforward, and behind the scenes, of course, use the concept of AutoML that automate everything for you and get things done from choice of the right algorithm till getting the model that's trained and you can use it in production. Understanding that students and beginners in AI machine learning might need the ability to make use of AI/ML in a cost-efficient way. So AWS, we released our SageMaker Studio Lab. Okay, so we have the full one, which is SageMaker Studio or SageMaker Canvas. Those are full services that if you open a free tier with AWS, you will get access to it for a couple of months, but of course under certain conditions for usage for free. But we understand that even especially for students that would like to learn machine learning, they need to get access to something that's easy to use and in the same time doesn't have any impact on from financial perspective due to the limitation of funds and budget that they have, and be able to still learn and innovate and maybe potentially build something more sophisticated with AI machine learning. So in AWS, we released the SageMaker Studio Lab, which is accessible even without having an AWS account from the Studio Lab website. And once you access it, you'll be able to access free resources to run and train machine learning models, including GPUs. So we offer even GPUs that is accessible as part of SageMaker Studio Lab to train some models that could fit maybe a graduation project, a hackathon, or idea development in its beginning. Then whenever you want to scale and build something more sophisticated with more data, you can switch to the SageMaker Studio or SageMaker Canvas, or even using compute and EC2 machines to virtual machines to run that experiments. Again, you can guys go and subscribe for SageMaker Studio Lab, and based on the subscription or registration, after maybe I'm not sure about the timeline, but after some time you will get access, and based on that access you'll be able to access and do whatever needed. Then we of course very core and very important is building machine learning models. So you have access to, again, we'll go through this, either things that are up and running, notebooks that are ready that you can make use of, maybe for identifying objects, for example, like cars or insects or things that are very common. So object detection or image classification, those are two popular use cases. You can get the notebooks up and running and just add your own data, and then you have a model out of it. You can use built-in algorithms. So built-in algorithm built by our engineering team based on open source algorithms, but they are optimized for usage so that they run faster and deliver things better for you and already trained. So you use transfer learning and make use of them. Or we have a lot of open source solutions and notebooks that are developed by a lot of our engineers and based on customer feedback and customer inputs, and they are available for you to access them and make use of them. And of course, AutoML, it's an option. AutoML, the difference between Canvas and AutoML here, you still have access to notebooks, but Canvas you don't need access. And of course, we support the major frameworks on toolkits. So what maybe you find a notebook that's from Kaggle or from any source, you can use those notebooks to run it on SageMaker. You don't need to modify it because we follow the open source standards and open source capabilities. So you can get data for our frameworks, notebooks from different frameworks, and use them with AWS without change. Again, training models, maybe in your use case, you don't need to have complexity, but we can address some complex use cases of running things parallelly or in distributed way, or even having options to optimize the cost for larger scale experiments by doing something called managed spot training, which is a managed capability for our side, but use the spare capacity from AWS data centers perspective and help you to reduce the cost that could be up to 90%. Of course, the journey doesn't end after training the model. The journey actually starts because when you deploy the model as an API, you need to make sure that the model is scalable, so can be used. Also, the model is able to deliver what's expected from it. It's improving, and it's able to identify new use cases that you can use it to improve the model later on. So this is also something that we cover. Let me check point to see if any questions here. Okay. Sure, thank you. So this is actually the last part that I will be covering. So again, AI services. With AI services, you'll be able to do common use cases with API based. So you don't need to build model from scratch. So for example, using Amazon Recognition, You can do object detection for vehicles or face detection for people, protective equipment detection, many things, many data that can be captured automatically without need to develop an object detection model. It's already there. It will get the data and tell you this is a car, this is a wheel, this is a person, and so on. Same for text analysis. So we can convert text to speech, speech to text to provide some assistance, or you can analyze text and get from the analyzed text understanding that help you to execute things effectively. Another service that could help you to build a machine learning based search engine to find data and insights and information. Also in industrial AI, we have capabilities that help you to work with cameras and identify things in real time, maybe related to predictive maintenance for equipments, like oil level is dropping and that equipment will fail, which will cause a lot of problem for a manufacturer, or to do predictive maintenance by understanding sensors data like temperature and vibration and pressure, or to be able to analyze sensory data that coming real time. So for example, we work with sensors that measure weights and count objects, and based on this take actions and decisions, or things that could improve quality of things. That's it. I will recommend you to most of the AI-based services. It has a demo like recognition. Go and open AWS console, open recognition service, and try the demo over there and see the capabilities that you can choose. Choose images from maybe search engine, upload it, and see what results that can be done. So first of all, go to AI services, make use of them. It could be helpful. If not, then go to SageMaker. Thank you so much, and I hopefully the session was useful. Any more questions? Yeah.
I'm just going to say thank you so much for your time. If you guys have any questions, you can write them in the chat. And if we're unable to answer them, we'll forward them to Mr. Hesham. And once we get the answers to, we'll share it with everyone. As for the recordings, all of the recordings will be shared with all of the attendees at the end of the day, as well as will be uploaded on the university website. So it's accessible at any time.
Yeah. So asking about the guides to use ML services. So SageMaker has a lot of labs and tutorials available online. So just write Amazon SageMaker and you find it. For the same for AI services. I recommend you to open an account on SageMaker Studio Lab to do the trial for AI services. Most of it has a free tier with enough capability that could help you in your hackathon. And find the tutorials and samples that are available online from our site and on GitHub, or from others as well that who developed and made it available for others, and try to get or innovate around it. Thank you. If no more questions.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Hesham. And thank you for our attendees to join in. We will have our next space at 2 p.m. Cairo time. So I will see you guys then. Thank you.
Thank you.